Now, when we look at our skeletal system, we can see that there's quite a lot of bones, 206 if memory serves me correctly, and lots of them you'll be quite familiar with. So we'll run through them maybe from top to bottom. So you've got a skull, and you'd be familiar with that. You see it quite often. It's got the cranium, so that top bit, and the mandible is the jaw. So the skull, I suppose, is all those bits joined together. The cranium, the mandible is your whole skull. You would not often call the jawbone the mandible, but that's really the scientific term for it. We've got a spinal column down our back, and that's actually made up of lots of different bones called vertebrae. So there's bone vertebrae at the top, and they go all the way down the bottom. And so, we can see each one of these little bones here is one vertebra, and all of those vertebrae combine to form our spinal cord. And that's does two things. It kind of enables us to keep upright and bend, but it also protects our spinal cord, which is a really important part of the nervous system. You've got a collarbone just right here. That's actually called a clavicle. So that's another bone there. Your sternum is in the middle of your rib cage. So this here is your sternum. And of course, you'd be familiar with the ribs, which run across your chest. In terms of our arms, we've got three main bones in our arms. We've got the humerus, which is in the top part of our arm. And then down in our forearm, we've actually got two bones. One is called ulna, the other is the radius. So there are two bones in our forearm, in the lower part of our arm. If we go down to our hands and fingers, our wrist is actually made up of a series of small bones called the carpals. These go on to, I suppose, the bones in our hands here, which are called the metacarpals. And then in our fingertips, bones which you use all the time, which are called the phalanges. If we go down, just while we're talking about our appendages, our hands and feet, if we go down here to our toes, we'll see, just like we had carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges, in our toes, we have our ankle bones, our tarsals, and then in our feet, our metatarsals, and then again, our fingers and toes have bones in them called phalanges. If we think about our leg, just like our upper arm has got one bone in it, our upper leg has got one bone in it called the femur, and then our kneecap is actually not called a kneecap in terms of science, it's called a patella. And just like our lower arm, our lower leg has also got two bones in it. One is a big bone at the front called the tibia, and the fibula is another little bone at the back of our leg. So there's some of the main bones of the body. We've got our cranium and mandible and the skull, our clavicle bone here, rib cage, sternum. We've got a humerus, we've got the ulna and radius. We've got carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. We've got a femur, we've got a patella, tibia, fibula, and tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges. So there's some of the bones of the human skeletal system.